And I just sort of mentioned that because I was thinking about the etymology of this word influence. And, you know, as we all know, it kind of means something like to flow into. And it's the exact same root that we get the word influenza from in these Ebola days. And I think that's what a poem is. You know, when we get a book of poems and we read it and we have to give it to other people, you know, it's like passing on a germ. You know, when we post poems we love on our social network sites, we're just passing it along, infecting everyone we know. And I remember when I was an undergrad at Brigham Young, before I came out of the closet, when I was Mormon, I was at the BYU bookstore, and one day I just opened up this book to this poem. It is not the moon, I tell you. It is these flowers lighting the yard. I hate them. I hate them as I hate sex. The man's mouth sealing my mouth. The man's paralyzing body. And the cry that always escapes, that low, humiliating premise of union. In my mind tonight, I hear the question and pursuing answer fused in one sound that mounts and mounts and then is split into the old selves, the tired antagonisms. Do you see? Do you? We were made fools of. And the scent of mock orange drifts through the window. How can I rest? How can I be content when there is still that odor in the world? So we know Louise Glück graces the cover of the Free Poets and Writers, right, that we've been getting at this great conference. And I didn't know who she was. I just picked up this book, The Triumph of Achilles, and that was the first poem. And I was like, shit. And that poem kind of worked its way into me. And in the end, I had to sort of have it. I had to, you know, have it. And it's never left my body. And I think that's influence, influenza. I think we want our poems to do that to other people. You know, even when I was an undergrad 25 years ago, I could already imagine, wow, what would that be like someday if someone just walked into a bookstore and picked up my book and just opened it and read a poem and had a similar reaction? Isn't that what we want? So there's something about that as well, this desire, this thing that infects us. I have to say I really like the short poem. One of my favorite teachers was Charles Simic, who liked to say that the problem with American poetry is it's too long-winded. Right? And if we're only into description, you know, what's that? And he said, the most beautiful thing is a beautiful figure of speech, because the economy of that makes the poem shrink, right? Here are a couple poems from my new book. I'm writing a series of poems with titles of 12-step slogans. So this is easy does it. He works all summer and won't think twice about taking me into his mouth. Says he has much feeling for me as he does an Eskimo pie. Could plow through a box in a single afternoon if it was hot enough. It's nice to have the words in the body, to feel those rhythms, to feel it in your throat. It kind of animates like all of this, where I think that can happen when you get it off the page as well, but it's a little bit different when you are freed from it. And I'm not a super memorizer. It's hard to do, but when you think about all the pop songs we can do perfectly right now, probably thousands, the human brain obviously can do it. And so at the Millennium, 14 years ago, I decided to memorize 100 poems. And I just thought that would be my way of celebrating the new century. And I always had this fantasy, it'd be nice to be around a campfire and be able to just say poems all night long. Right. And so anyways, I'll just tell you real quickly a method that a drama coach taught me on how to memorize, which I love, which is, let's say you have a 20-line poem, just start with the last line or the last sentence of the poem and memorize that first. So like in the Louise Glück, it would be, how can I be content when there's still that odor in the world? And then do the next phrase, how can I rest? How can I be content when there's that odor in the world? And so what happens is it gets easier as you work backwards, because the end you've already done way more times than the beginning. And because usually when we memorize, we tend to forget what's at the end. And so it's like a backward snowball in my mind is how that works. And I found that to be very helpful.